This moment belongs to you. The moment you stop making peace with almost and choose action over apology. You have worshipped later, negotiated with fear, and watched hours dissolve into scroll dust. Your promise to yourself kept breaking until confidence thinned. Discipline is not a gene. Confidence is not a gift. They grow when you move through resistance on purpose. You feel the ache of wasted mornings, the sting of comparison, the weight of ideas left in drafts. Tonight, you trade perfection for progress and hesitation for a first step. This year is built month by month. Do not wait for motivation. Manufacture it by moving. Do not beg time to be kind. Train it with attention. Do not chase a perfect plan. Execute a simple one daily. Breathe. You are not behind. You are arriving. The door is unlocked. The light is on. Walk in. Chapter the 1st of January. You wake on the first morning of a new year, and the room feels familiar and heavy, like a song you loved until it kept you from silence. You glance at the goals written last year and your stomach tightens because the ink stayed while the action fled. You tell yourself you will start Monday. You will start when the calendar clears. You will start when you feel ready. You know that ready never arrives. Readiness is a costume. Action is the skin. So here is the truth you have avoided. You are not broken. You are busy building the wrong behaviors. You do not need more time. You need more courage. You do not need perfect routines. You need a plan simple enough to survive bad days. January is the month you choose clarity over clutter and identity over willpower. Clarity begins with the one hill. Not 10 hills, not a valley of vague intentions. One hill worth climbing even when it rains. Ask yourself what would make the year undeniably meaningful if everything else stayed average. Say it out loud until your voice stops trembling. Write it until your hand knows the shape of the letters without thinking. That is your hill. Now set 3 keystone habits that carry you toward it like steady footsteps. Make them painfully clear. 10 minutes of focused practice before messages. 30 minutes of movement before meals. 1 page of planning before bedtime. Keystones do not impress. They compound. They are the bricks under a lighthouse. When storms come, lights stay. The second move is identity anchoring. You have tried to push yourself with rules, and rules fail when emotions rise. Identity outlasts emotion. Say, I am the person who does my work before the world wakes. Say, I am the person who keeps promises to myself when no one is watching. Say, I am the person who leaves a room cleaner than I found it, including my mind. Identity is not fantasy, it is training data. Every small kept promise becomes a proof point. Proof changes posture. Posture changes performance. Third, design friction like a strategist. The enemy is not laziness. It is friction that favors the wrong things. Hide the remote. Delete the app that swallows your mornings. Place your shoes by the door. Put your notebook on the pillow. Leave water by the kettle. Make the right action closer and the wrong action farther. Do not trust memory. Trust environment. People who look disciplined are usually well-designed. Next comes the calendar commitment. If it is not scheduled, it is not serious. Time block the first 90 minutes of your day for the hill. Call it sacred and treat interruptions like trespassers. When your brain protests with "what about email?" remind it your future is not hiding in your inbox. Calendar is courage in boxes. The 5th piece is the minimum viable day. Perfection will try to kill you early. Let it starve. Define the smallest version of progress that still counts. 5 sentences written, 10 push-ups, 1 outreach message, 1 mindful meal. When chaos hits, you do the minimum and keep the streak alive. Streaks build story. Story builds identity. You are drawing a line that tells your nervous system, we show up no matter what. Now look at mornings and evenings, the hinges of habit. Your morning is a launch pad, not a lottery. Give yourself 5 steps that trigger momentum. Feet on floor, water, movement, focus, first win. Your evening is a reset ritual. Close loops on paper, clear your desk, cue tomorrow's start. Go to sleep like a pro instead of scrolling like a runaway. Sleep is a strategy, not a reward. January is not loud, it is loyal. On the outside, people might not notice. Inside, you are installing code. You are building a bias toward action. You are shrinking the distance between intention and execution. You are teaching your future to trust you. You will be tempted to turn this into a performance for other people. Resist it. Validation is a vapory drug. Your brain chases it and forgets the work. Make your proof private for now. Let your results introduce you later. When you fail, and you will, fail forward with a simple review. Ask 3 questions at night. What worked? What wobbled? What will I change tomorrow? Answer without judgment and with speed. Then close the book and sleep. Your nervous system learns best when feedback is frequent and friendly. Shame is not a teacher, it is a thief. If you feel resistance rise like a rip current, name it out loud. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of wasting time. Give it a name and it loses a little of its teeth. Then act while afraid. Action is the antidote to anxious stories. If you wait for confidence, you will teach your body that fear rules the schedule. Teach it something new. Expect boredom. High achievers confuse excitement with progress. In January, your wins will often be quiet. A page filled, a run finished, a kitchen cleaned without commentary. Boredom is not a problem. It is a portal. Walk through and you find compound gains. Guard your attention like oxygen. Turn off notifications. Put your phone in another room. Open one tab and one task. When your mind wanders, bring it back kindly like a parent guiding a child across a busy street. Kind is not weak. Kind is consistent. Fuel your body like a teammate you respect. Protein, produce, water, sunlight, movement. Do not worship hacks while ignoring what biology begs you to honor. Energy is the ember under every habit. Without it, goals gasp. Choose a weekly ritual of review and reset. Sunday evening or any evening you refuse to miss, look at your hill, your keystones, your calendar. Adjust like a pilot adjusting course by degrees, not a passenger hoping the wind is friendly. Celebrate microscopic wins out loud. Say that counted. Say I did what I said. Say tomorrow I climb again. If you lead a team or a family, share your hill and invite them to share theirs. Create a culture of kept promises. Do not coach with shame. Coach with standards and support. Ask how can I make the right thing easier for you today. Ask what time tomorrow should I check in. Invite commitment without coercion. January is the edge between who you were and who you are becoming. You will be tempted to reorganize your desk and call it progress. Stop decorating avoidance. Move toward the messy middle where effort lives. Write the email. Record the first video. Make the offer. Start the savings transfer. Turn the dream into a decision and the decision into a date on your calendar. When doubt whispers that you are behind, answer with movement. One step is a sentence that says, I am in, and here is a picture you will carry. You are at the base of your hill with a pack that holds only what you need. You tighten the straps, you take the first step, then the next. Your breathing finds a rhythm. The path is not paved, and that is the point. You're building ankles strong enough to handle rock and root. With every step, you are writing new code into your identity. By the end of this month, the number matters less than the momentum. You're not counting streaks to impress anyone. The truth is simple. You move the mission forward. You are the kind of person who climbs. I am the kind of person who climbs. Do not sprint to please your panic. This is not about fireworks. It is about foundation. Lay it with courage. Then keep going toward the hill you chose, because the climb is already changing you. Start small, start now, start unstoppable. Build a scoreboard you can see without opening a screen. Use a wall calendar or a simple grid where ink meets effort. Each X marks a kept promise and a vote for your new identity. When you miss, do not spiral. Restart the chain by dinner. Tell a trusted friend your hill and your 3 keystones this week. Ask them to text you at sunrise with a single question. Did you keep your promise? Answer honestly and get back to work. Design rewards that reinforce the process rather than distract from it. A quiet walk, a long bath, a book that sharpens you. Let the work be its own weather and let rewards be rest. Remember that courage grows in contact with challenge, not in the concept of it. Put yourself in rooms that require you to rise. Sign up for the class, stand up for the meeting, raise your hand. Practice public reps that make private excuses melt. Keep your tools simple and visible so the ritual starts quickly. Notebook, timer, water, shoes, light. Make your environment say "start here" without words. When you feel the old year pulling, pause and breathe for 5. Name the pull, return to the plan. Take the smallest next step. You are not late. You are learning to lead yourself in real time. Leadership begins in the mirror long before it shows up on a resume. Each kept promise is a handshake with your future self. Shake firmly and keep walking. You are not counting streaks to impress anyone. The truth is simple. You move the mission forward. You are the kind of person who climbs. I am the kind of person who climbs. Do not sprint to please your panic. This is not about fireworks. It is about foundation. Lay it with courage. Then keep going toward the hill you chose, because the climb is already changing you. Start small. Start now. Start unstoppable. Chapter the 2nd of February. You kept promises in January, and now the novelty is fading like chalk in rain. Motivation is a spark. Momentum is the engine, and engines hum when cared for. You wake to gray skies and a busy inbox and a mind that whispers, "Take a day off." You could, but you know days breed days. So you learn the physics of February. Momentum does not arrive. It accumulates. It is made of moments stacked in sequence, small and steady, guided by intention. You do the work before you explain the work. You stack the first win as soon as your feet touch the floor. Momentum begins with movement and multiplies with meaning. You give the movement a reason your heart respects. You say, "I am building a life I trust, not a schedule I fear." You treat your rituals like real work because they are. You design for consistency more than intensity. Intensity flatters your ego and burns your energy. Consistency trains your identity and builds your future. February is where you choose the boring that builds over the dramatic that dissolves. You pick a minimum, a medium, and a max for each habit so progress flexes with your day. A 5-minute minimum keeps the chain alive. A modest medium moves the mission forward. A max day feels heroic without becoming a hangover tomorrow. You track effort with a visible scoreboard. Do not hide the truth inside a phone you avoid when you wobble. Use a notebook you see, a wall calendar, a jar where pebbles mark reps. Let reality look back at you kindly and clearly. When you miss, you practice the golden rule of momentum. Never miss twice. Do not punish a stumble by pushing yourself down the stairs. You get up, you take the small next step. You close the day with a kept promise. You build momentum in minutes, not in myths. February also asks you to fight friction with devotion. You cut the decision count by preparing your stage the night before. Clothes laid out, tools ready, desk cleared, cues visible, checklists short. You remove neutral choices that drain your willpower, like a coach protecting a rookie from bad matchups. You automate what helps and eliminate what hurts. Subscriptions that waste attention are canceled. Apps that hijack focus are off your home screen. Notifications are off for everything except a small circle you choose on purpose. You pick music that cues flow and reserve it only for your work blocks, so your brain associates sound with start. You script transitions, the moments most people lose momentum. You finish a task by starting the next one for 2 minutes. You lower the barrier to re-entry so your future self slides into motion like a train coming back on track. Then you protect the streak with stress strategies. Stress is not the enemy, unmanaged stress is. You build a simple practice that pulls your nervous system back to ground. Box breathing for 1 minute before you start, a short walk after tough calls. Shoulders relaxed, jaw soft, eyes on one point. You teach your body this is safe, this is chosen, this is who we are now. You invite accountability that respects your dignity. Tell a friend the daily standard and ask for a simple check-in. Did you keep your promise today? Answer yes or no, not a paragraph of excuses. Accountability is a mirror, not a megaphone. Keep it clear and clean. Now look at time like a tide you can read. Stack your hardest work when your energy is highest. If you are a morning maker, guard mornings like a castle. If your afternoon brain finds rhythm, protect that window and put meetings elsewhere. Treat time blocks like flights. You would not miss a plane because you got interested in a video. Do not miss your blocks because you got curious in a feed. Work in waves and rest on purpose. A short break between blocks is not a betrayal. It is maintenance. Leave the station, do the lap, return to breath, launch again. Momentum loves rhythm. Create a weekly cadence that carries you through this month. Monday map, Tuesday build, Wednesday ship, Thursday deepen, Friday review, Saturday restore, Sunday set the stage. Give each day a flavor so your brain knows where to file effort. Rituals reduce resistance by removing decision fog. You can still improvise, you are just improvising on a clear beat. Perfectionism will dress up as high standards and try to stop you. Do not let it play judge and jury. Replace perfect with precise. Define done before you begin. Write the 3 points you must hit, set a time limit, and press publish when the bell rings. Precision respects quality without worshiping delay. If fear of judgment stalks you, shrink the stage and raise the reps. Share work with 5 people you trust before sharing with 500 you do not know. Your craft grows in the greenhouse before it handles the wind. February teaches you to love the long middle where craft is born. Comparison will also creep in when momentum makes you visible. You will see highlight reels and forget the edits. Return your eyes to your lane. Your body is different. Your responsibilities are different. Your timeline is yours. Steal methods, not meaning. Let other people's wins encourage your effort, not erase your path. Fuel matters here more than you want to admit. Eat for energy, not entertainment. Drink water like you mean it. Sleep like you are on a mission, because you are. Energy compounds momentum like interest compounding principle. Guard it and the engine keeps humming when others stall. Celebrate small wins with language that sticks. Say, I am a finisher when you ship. Say, I am consistent when you keep the streak alive. Say, I am resilient when you bounce back within the day. Words are weights you lift into your identity. Lifting daily makes you strong. If a setback arrives, and it will, treat it like data, not drama. You diagnose the day the way a pilot reads instruments. What was the wind? Where did I drift? How do I adjust course? Then you act without delay. Short feedback loops create sharp learning. Do it again, a little better, a little lighter, with a little more breath. Invite joy into your momentum. Play with your craft. Turn a task into a tiny challenge. Beat yesterday's focus time by 1 minute. Find a fun ritual to kick off each session, like a phrase that sparks swagger or a song that signals start. Joy turns repetition into a game your brain loves to play. By the last week of February, momentum feels less like luck and more like loyalty. It is the loyalty you show to your hill when weather is gray and crowds are quiet. It is the loyalty you show to your identity when no one is clapping. You are teaching your life to trust you. Trust is the track momentum runs on. You close the month with a simple audit and a simple promise. Audit the process, not your worth. Keep what carried you, cut what clogged you, tweak what almost worked. Then make a promise in plain words and place it on your calendar. The promise is not, I will be perfect. The promise is, I will move the mission forward daily. Say it, sign it, and step into March with the engine warm. Keep moving and let momentum multiply your courage. Write your plan the night before so morning you only executes. Set out tools, pick targets, and pre-decide how you will start. Make starting so small your brain laughs, then make it routine. Use timers to frame effort and remove endless edges from your tasks. Protect one window daily where nothing can find you but your work. If it helps, change rooms to signal a new identity taking over. People who know you will adjust when you show them unwavering boundaries. Boundaries are acts of care, not acts of conflict. Let your calendar carry your courage when your mood forgets the mission. Track focus time, not just finished items, to honor the invisible grind. Acknowledge the lapse and return without a speech when you slip. Train the sentence. I am a person who returns quickly. Return speed is a superpower, and February is its gym. Make boredom productive with a list of tiny, meaningful tasks. Review notes, stretch, breathe, prep food, tidy a surface, clear a folder. These keep momentum warm, while your mind resets for the next block. Speak to yourself like a coach who loves you and refuses excuses. Firm and kind beats harsh and hollow every day. Humility helps momentum because it keeps you coachable and curious. Curiosity turns mistakes into maps and detours into data points. When you catch yourself comparing, bless their progress and bless your path. Then face forward and take one step that honors your hill. Momentum is a multiplier that cares only about what you did today. Feed it truth, and it pays you in confidence tomorrow. Finish sessions with a written one-line plan for the next start. Close the loop so your future self lands without friction. If your schedule gets slammed, run your minimums like a rescue drill. They save identity when life storms through your routine. End each week by writing 3 sentences you are proud of. Reading them trains your brain to notice wins and hunt repetition. Begin anyway. Chapter the 3rd of March. The month opens with a confession you have avoided saying out loud. Your phone owns too much of you, and your focus leaks like a cracked jar. You intend to do one task and end up swimming through 10 tabs and 5 threads. You call it research to feel better while your dream waits in the next room. Attention is your most valuable asset, and the marketplace wants it on discount. March is where you buy it back. You begin by performing a brutal but loving audit of your attention. For one day, you track every switch, every swipe, every tab, every tug. You write when, what, and why you switched. You circle patterns that steal your deep work and star the few that truly serve you. Awareness is the first intervention. Then you build a focus fortress, simple and strong. You clear your desk until it holds only tools you need. You remove icons that shout at you and replace them with cues that calm you. You set a phone bed outside your work zone, and you put the device there like a child down for a nap. You turn off notifications for everything you do not want to interrupt your life. You whitelist the handful of people who can reach you in emergencies, and you tell them what emergency means. You uninstall apps you do not pay for with money because you are paying with attention. You sign out of logins that trap you in loops. You give your brain the gift of fewer doors to wander through. Now you calendar your concentration. Deep work blocks belong on your schedule, like surgeries belong on a hospital list. Name the block, define the target, decide where it happens, and pick the trigger that starts it. Trigger could be a song, a phrase, a cup of tea placed on the left side of your keyboard. Your brain learns the ritual and begins to lower resistance because the path is familiar. Set the block length with honesty. 30 to 90 minutes is a solid range. Short blocks keep you honest. Longer blocks help you dive. Give yourself a brief buffer before and after to transition like a pilot checking instruments. Within the block, monotask like it is sacred. One tab, one tool, one target. When a stray thought knocks, you capture it on paper and return to the target without ceremony. Thoughts are toddlers. They do better when acknowledged and redirected rather than argued with. You work with a visible timer, so time has edges. You do not hide in timeless tabs where tasks expand forever. Make your work visible and finite. When you hit resistance, and you will, do not assume it means stop. Often it means stay until it smooths. Count slow breaths, relax your jaw, and keep your hands moving. Momentum lives on the other side of the initial friction. Feed focus with fuel and light. Open a window or step into sunlight before your session. Drink water and keep a simple snack nearby so hunger does not hijack you. Move your body for 2 minutes when your attention flags and then return. Never let a stuck minute become a stuck morning. Protect your space from noise by choosing the sound that suits the task. Many people benefit from instrumental music or simple white noise. The rule is consistent pairing, not perfection. Pair the same soundtrack with the same work and your brain will start Pavlovian focus faster. You also need a plan for digital hygiene. Batch your messages and mail into short windows far from deep work blocks. Delete or archive aggressively. Unsubscribe from newsletters you never read. Set canned responses for common answers so you do not reinvent language every hour. Make technology your servant rather than your shepherd. Next, simplify your commitments with ruthless mercy. You cannot focus if you say yes to everything good. and leave no room for great. Write a not now list to protect the mission for the next 90 days. Good ideas go there to grow later while you go deep here. Depth over breadth is the March mantra. You will feel FOMO rise like smoke. Let it pass, breathe, and remember the hill you chose in January. Your job is not to be everywhere, it is to be effective here. Design a daily top 3 that match your hill and your season. 1 deep work task, 1 maintenance task, 1 human connection. When you finish the 3, you can add more. Finish the 3 first and your day already wins. At the end of each block, complete the loop. Write a 1-line status, note the very next physical action, and set the start cue for the next block. Loops left open leak attention into the night. Closed loops let you leave work at work and rest that actually restores you. Rest refills focus. If you cannot rest, you cannot concentrate tomorrow. Sleep is the most underrated productivity tool on earth. Treat it like sacred training. If racing thoughts chase you, keep a bedside capture card to dump ideas before lights out. Trust the card to hold them until morning. Now practice the art of saying no with kindness and clarity. No protects yes. You do not owe the world your availability. You owe your mission your attention. Say not this month to meetings without agendas, to favors that erode your focus, to opportunities that do not align with your hill. Offer alternatives when it fits, point people to resources, and keep your schedule honest. Every no is fertilizer for a better yes. Social media deserves a fence. Use it as a creator more than a consumer. Enter with intent, post, respond briefly. Leave like you would leave a store after buying what you came for. Do not move in and redecorate. If possible, batch content creation and schedule posts so you are not constantly tethered. You are allowed to live most of your life off camera. March rewards courage that looks quiet from the outside. It will not give you fireworks, it will give you flow. Flow arrives when challenge meets skill and distraction steps aside. To increase flow, adjust the ratios. Raise challenge slightly above your comfort and celebrate progress instead of perfection. Track focus hours weekly and notice which activities pull you deepest. Do more of those and prune the rest. Invest in tools that remove friction once your system proves it is worth investing in. A better chair, a second monitor, a keyboard that treats your hands kindly. Let purchases follow behavior, not attempt to create it. If focus fails one day, do not turn failure into a story about you. Call it what it is, a missed moment, and make a better move in the next moment. Focus is a muscle, not a mood. You get stronger when you train it consistently and rest it properly. By the 3rd week, your days begin to feel different, less scattered, more satisfying. You end sessions with work actually finished instead of endlessly fiddled. Your evenings feel lighter because your brain is not carrying 1,000 open tabs into dinner. People notice you are more present. You say fewer yeses and deliver better outcomes. You leave meetings earlier because meetings end earlier when someone arrives prepared and purposeful. Your confidence thickens quietly because competence is compounding. Before the month closes, run a focus sprint as a celebration and a stress test. 3 days, 3 90-minute deep sessions each day. 3 clear targets that advance your hill. Reduce inputs, raise intention, recover hard at night. Journal briefly about what you learned and what you will keep in April. Write the sentence that will start the next block next month. Carry the calm you cultivated into the rest of the year. The world rewards those who can hold their attention when the circus is loud. You are becoming one of them. Focus is freedom, and you are learning to live free. Create a written parking lot for ideas that appear mid-session. Capture them quickly, return to the target, review them later with calm eyes. Train your starts by using the same opening sentence for every session. Familiar openings lower fear and raise entry speed. Close with a countdown and a clear next action stamped on paper. Use paper more than screens when you plan because paper never pings. Ask for quiet hours from people who share your space and offer yours back. Making agreements makes focus a team sport instead of a mystery. End days by asking what would make tomorrow easier to start. Then do that tonight and sleep without carrying the work in your hands. Protect deep work like a meeting with your future and arrive on time always. Chapter the 4th of April. April begins with a choice that feels like a dare. You have gathered clarity, momentum, and focus. But now the mirror asks, will you grow or will you coast? Coasting is seductive. You have systems that hum, habits that hold, and a pace that feels safe. But safety is not the same as strength. Growth lives in the stretch, in the spaces where your skills are forced to evolve. April is about skill expansion, the month you make yourself sharper than you were willing to be in March. You start by identifying the skill that, if improved, would cause a ripple effect across everything you do. Not the skill that feels easy, not the one that gets applause, but the one that makes your future self dangerous in the best way. You choose it with ruthless honesty. Maybe it's public speaking because your voice still trembles in rooms where it should command. Maybe it's negotiation because you keep underselling your value. Maybe it's writing because your ideas deserve sentences that stick in the soul. Once chosen, you design your practice like an athlete chasing mastery, not a hobbyist chasing comfort. You break the skill into micro-movements. You practice them daily in short, focused bursts, because long sessions are worthless if your mind checks out. You track reps instead of hours because repetition with attention is what rewires you. You seek feedback faster than your ego wants it. Not at the end of the month, now, at the end of each attempt. You learn to invite critique without confusing it for condemnation. You remind yourself that feedback is fuel and that untested skill is just theory dressed as talent. April is where you expose your work to the wind. You share the draft, deliver the pitch, step onto the stage, launch the pilot version. The goal is not perfection, it's contact with reality. Reality sharpens you more than any amount of private rehearsal. This month, resistance will disguise itself as more prep and not yet. You'll tell yourself you just need one more week of study, one more tweak, one more quiet day. Ignore that whisper. It's not preparation, it's protection from discomfort. And discomfort is the gym where growth trains. You keep a discomfort log this month. Each day, write the moment you leaned in when you wanted to lean out. The time you asked the hard question. The moment you held eye contact a second longer. The silence you let stretch instead of filling with filler words. By week 2, your tolerance for tension will grow. What felt like a cliff will now feel like a curb. Skill expansion also requires stretching your network. You seek out people better than you in the skill you're building. You watch how they move, listen to the questions they ask, study the edges of their craft. You ask small, specific questions instead of generic ones, because vague questions get vague answers. You give back by sharing what you learn, so your network grows richer with reciprocity, not just extraction. April will also test your capacity for patience. Skills don't grow in straight lines. They spike, stall, and sometimes feel like they slide backward. You will want to quit when the plateau hits. This is the exact moment that separates dabblers from masters. Plateaus are proof you've exhausted your current level. Stay in the work and you'll break through. The breakthrough never announces itself. It arrives in a moment that feels almost ordinary. A sentence flows without strain. A solution appears mid-conversation. A task that drained you now feels like a warm-up. These are the invisible dividends of April's grind. By the last week, you'll see not just improvement, but integration. The skill will start showing up uninvited in other parts of your life. Your sharpened negotiation makes you better in family decisions. Your stronger writing makes your meetings crisper. Your improved listening makes your relationships richer. April doesn't just change your output, it changes your posture toward challenge. You no longer flinch first. You step in. And when you close this month, you won't just have more skill. You'll have proof that growth is a choice you can manufacture, not a gift you have to wait for. You'll carry that proof into May, where resilience becomes the next muscle you build. Chapter the 5th of May. May doesn't arrive with fireworks, it arrives with friction. The energy of January's clarity, February's momentum, March's focus, and April's growth starts colliding with the reality of life's mess. Disruptions creep in. A project goes sideways. A commitment you thought was solid slips through. Your calendar becomes a patchwork of delays and detours. This is the month where people either drift back into old habits or discover what resilience actually feels like. Resilience isn't just bouncing back. That's a headline word. In practice, resilience is quieter, grittier, and far less glamorous. It's making progress on a day that started wrong and stayed wrong. It's protecting your identity as a builder when the day gives you every excuse to become a bystander. It's deciding over and over that difficulty will not decide your direction. This month, you stop expecting perfect conditions. You start building systems that work even when things don't. That begins with the minimum viable win, MVW. You define the smallest version of success for each of your core habits, and you honor it without exception. A full workout becomes 10 minutes of movement. A deep work session becomes 15 minutes of focused writing. A meaningful connection becomes one voice message to a friend. MVWs keep your promises alive when life tries to bury them. May also teaches the discipline of recovery. Resilience isn't pushing endlessly. It's knowing when to pull back so you can push again tomorrow. You learn to read your body and mind like instruments. Fatigue, irritability, sloppy mistakes. These aren't signs of weakness. They're signals. You respond with deliberate recovery, early sleep, nourishing food, a walk without headphones, breathing that slows your pulse. This isn't indulgence. It's maintenance for the mission. You also start building what I call resilience rehearsals. Once a week, you intentionally add a small, controlled challenge to your schedule, not to break yourself, but to practice adapting. Work in a noisier environment than usual. Take a cold shower. Present with half the prep time you prefer. These micro-challenges create flexibility in your nervous system. They teach you to function without all your comforts lined up. When real disruption arrives, it feels familiar, not fatal. May will tempt you to personalize problems. A rejection email will feel like a rejection of you. A missed target will feel like proof you're not capable. This is where you practice detaching self-worth from circumstances. You learn to see events as data points, not verdicts. You ask, "What can I adjust?" instead of "What's wrong with me?" That shift is the heartbeat of resilience. It keeps you in motion when self-blame would have kept you stuck. You also strengthen your support structure this month. Resilient people don't go it alone. They have a web of allies, friends, mentors, peers, who help them see clearly when their perspective fogs. You don't wait until you're drowning to reach out. You check in while you still have breath in your lungs. You learn to both receive help without shame and give it without keeping score. By the third week, you'll notice something. Setbacks won't drain you the way they did before. You'll still feel the sting, but it won't derail your day. You'll recover your composure faster. You'll make decisions without needing everything to be perfect first. That's the compounding effect of May. You stop fearing disruption because you've learned you can outlast it. By month's end, you're no longer measuring success by how smooth things go. You measure it by how quickly you return to your hill after being knocked off it. You understand that resilience isn't just a survival skill. It's a competitive advantage. Most people quit when things get messy. You keep climbing, and that means the rest of the year is yours to take. Chapter the 6th of June. June doesn't knock. It walks straight in and asks the question you've been avoiding. How long do you think you can keep this pace without breaking? The truth is, you've been grinding for 6 months. You've built clarity in January, momentum in February, focus in March, skill in April, resilience in May. And now? You're strong, but stretched. You've been drawing from the same well every day without taking the time to refill it. June is the month you stop treating energy like a side effect and start treating it like the main event. Because the year isn't won by the person who starts the fastest. It's won by the one who can keep showing up at full strength when everyone else is limping. Energy isn't just about your body. It's physical. It's mental. It's emotional. It's environmental. Ignore any one of these and the others start to crumble. This month, You build all four like pillars under a bridge that needs to carry you the rest of the way. You start with the physical because it's the foundation every other kind of energy stands on. Sleep is first. Not whenever I get to it sleep. Not I'll catch up on the weekend sleep. Real, consistent, restorative sleep. For 1 week, you don't change anything. You just track it. Bedtime, wake time, hours of actual rest. And then you face the truth on paper. If the numbers are low, if the quality is poor, you pick one habit to improve. One? Maybe it's shutting down screens an hour earlier. Maybe it's a darker, quieter room. Maybe it's saying no to caffeine after lunch. You don't try to overhaul everything in 1 week. You build one solid brick at a time, because solid bricks don't crumble. Then comes fuel, not diet culture, not chasing a six-pack, fuel, because you can't build an empire on gas station snacks and caffeine crashes. You shift from energy spikes to energy streams. More water, more protein, more color on your plate. Less reward food that rewards you with fatigue an hour later. And here's the thing. You don't think about food as a treat anymore. You think about it as an investment in what you want to get done tomorrow. Every bite is either helping you climb your hill or making that hill steeper. You choose accordingly. Movement is the third leg of physical energy. Not punishment for eating, not a vanity metric, circulation. Vitality. You mix intentional workouts with micro-movements that keep your body alive all day. A walk after lunch, stretching during a break, squats while the coffee brews. You stop making exercise this isolated event you have to go do and start making it a constant companion. Your body becomes a co-conspirator in your success instead of a neglected tool you hope will hold together under pressure. Then you move to mental energy. You identify the mental vampires, the little open tabs in your brain that drain you without your consent. It might be unfinished tasks that linger for weeks. It might be meetings that don't need to happen. It might be one toxic conversation you keep rehearsing in your head. You make a list and deal with them, one by one. Some you close. Some you delegate. Some you delete entirely. You stop pretending your mental capacity is infinite, because the truth is, attention is finite. And June is where you start guarding it like oxygen. Emotional energy is next, and it's harder because it's invisible. This is the month you close loops with people. You say the thing you've been avoiding, not in anger, but in clarity. You give forgiveness, not because they deserve it, but because carrying resentment is like paying rent for a place you don't live in anymore. You intentionally spend more time around people who lift you. One coffee with someone who believes in you can fuel you more than a whole weekend of mindless scrolling. You learn to leave conversations that always leave you smaller. That's not cruelty, it's curation. The fourth pillar is environmental energy. This is the space you live and work in, and whether you notice it or not, it's either charging you or draining you every day. June is the month you strip visual clutter until your workspace feels like an invitation instead of an argument. You put tools in reach, distractions out of sight. You make it easy to start and hard to stop for the wrong reasons. When you walk in, the space should whisper, "This is where you do your best work." Halfway through the month, you begin to notice subtle changes. Your mornings feel lighter because you actually rested. Your focus lasts longer because your fuel is steady. Your afternoons don't crash the way they used to. Your evenings aren't just collapse, they're a conscious wind down that sets the stage for tomorrow. And here's the deeper shift. You stop glorifying exhaustion. Exhaustion used to be your badge of honor, proof you were working hard. But now, you see it for what it is, proof you were working recklessly. You start to value sustained strength more than heroic sprints. You understand that the real pros don't peak once. They perform again and again because they've built systems that keep them whole. That doesn't mean you'll never be tired. You will. But it's a clean tired. The kind that comes from effort, not from self-neglect. The kind that lets you recover overnight instead of over a month. By week 3, you've built rituals that make energy a renewable resource. A morning routine that charges you instead of just moving you from bed to desk. a midday reset that gives you a second wind instead of a sugar crash, an evening wind down that protects your sleep before it even starts. And here's the secret. June teaches you, managing energy is not about squeezing more out of yourself. It's about removing the leaks so what you already have can be used fully. Most people don't need more fuel. They just need to stop pouring it into holes. So you patch the holes. You stop saying yes to late-night obligations that wreck your mornings. You stop giving your best hours to other people's emergencies. You learn to say not now without guilt. You build a rhythm where your work, your health, and your relationships each get the best of you, not the leftovers. By the time June closes, you feel different. Not because you've slowed down, but because you've found a pace you can keep without breaking. You've stopped treating energy as something you burn and started treating it as something you bank. And now you're walking into the second half of the year with the one advantage most people have already lost: stamina. Because here's the truth. Ambition without energy is just a to-do list you're too tired to touch. But ambition with energy? That's a storm. And June just made you the one who can keep it raging all the way to December. Chapter the 7th of July. July is not a month you drift through. It's a month you dare through. By now, you have clarity, momentum, focus, growth, resilience, and energy. The foundation is set. The systems are running. You've built the engine. But July asks a harder question. Will you use it to take bold action? Or will you settle for cruising in the safe lane? Bold action is not reckless action. It's not leaping without looking. It's calculated courage, a deliberate choice to step into rooms, conversations, and opportunities that make your pulse quicken. This month is about expansion, not because you're ready, but because you've built the ability to rise while you're moving. The danger in July is comfort. Comfort will whisper that you've already done enough this year. It will show you the steady hum of your habits and suggest you should just keep the status quo. But comfort has a hidden cost: stagnation. The moment you stop stretching, the systems you've built begin to calcify. So here's the play. You pick one bold move for July. Not 10, not a bucket list. One. Something that feels too big for the current version of you, but not too big for the version you're becoming. It might be pitching to a client you've been circling for months, launching a project you've kept hidden in drafts, applying for the role that scares you because it demands more than you've done before. The move must matter. It must make your hands shake a little. Once chosen, you reverse engineer the steps backward from the outcome to today. Break it into actions small enough to execute daily, but significant enough to move the needle. This is where your January to June discipline pays off. You know how to time block. You know how to protect your best hours. Now you point those skills towards something that will change your trajectory, not just maintain it. Fear will show up here. It always does when the stakes rise. The key is not to remove fear, but to move alongside it. You treat fear as a signal, not a stop sign. The very fact that it's present means you're in the right territory. You learn to reframe the sensations. This isn't panic. This is preparation. Your body is mobilizing energy for something important. You also accept that bold action will not feel smooth. You will stumble. Your voice will catch. People will say no. Some will ignore you completely. But you've been building resilience for months, and now you use it. Every no is not an ending, it's information. You log it, learn from it, and adjust the approach. July is also about visibility. Bold moves are rarely made in secret. You put your work where it can be seen, where it can be tested. This is not about vanity metrics or chasing likes. It's about entering the arena where your ideas meet reality. Feedback here is sharper, but so is growth. You stop polishing endlessly in private and start publishing, presenting, proposing. And here's the truth. Most people never find out what they're capable of because they stop at ready. They rehearse endlessly, tweaking and delaying, convinced that one more round of preparation will make the risk disappear. But risk never disappears. The only way to remove it is to move through it. Bold action is the bridge between the life you plan for and the life you actually live. Midway through the month, you'll hit the wall. Doubt will try to negotiate you back into safety. You'll have early signs of resistance, delaying the outreach email, forgetting to schedule the meeting, over-researching instead of acting. This is your signal to double down, not pull back. You bring out the accountability you've built. Call your ally, tell them the exact next step you're avoiding, and commit to doing it before the day ends. By week 3, you start noticing small shifts. The bold action that made your voice shake now feels like something you can repeat. Not because it's suddenly easy, but because you've proven you can survive it. Confidence doesn't come from thinking. You can't affirm your way into it. It comes from doing the thing and discovering you're still standing. And here's the paradox. Once you act boldly, the opportunities multiply. People who never noticed your quiet consistency suddenly see your decisive moves. Doors you didn't know existed start to open. This isn't luck. It's the compounding effect of being seen as someone who takes action. By the end of July, you've expanded not just your reach, but your range. You've stretched what you're capable of in real time. You've learned that boldness is not a personality trait. It's a practice. It's built in the moments you choose the uncomfortable call over the comfortable delay, the visible launch over the invisible draft, the decisive yes over the hesitant maybe. And when August comes, you won't just maintain, you'll refine. Because boldness without refinement is noise, but boldness followed by precision, that's unstoppable. Chapter the 8th of August. August is the month when you trade speed for sharpness, not to slow down, but to cut cleaner, hit harder, and waste less. July gave you bold action. You stepped onto bigger stages, sent braver messages, took swings you'd been avoiding. But boldness, left unrefined, leaves rough edges. Some edges will cut you if you don't smooth them. Others will catch on things and slow you down. August is when you sharpen every tool, tighten every seam, and make sure your forward motion isn't leaking momentum through small inefficiencies. This isn't the glamorous work. No one posts on social media about building a better template or removing 3 redundant steps from a process. But make no mistake, this is the work that separates the people who win once from the people who win again and again. You start with a review, not a casual glance, an honest debrief. You list every bold action you took in July, from the smallest visible risk to the biggest public leap. For each one, you ask 2 questions. What exceeded my expectations? And where did I bleed energy or quality? You're not here to beat yourself up. You're here to turn experience into efficiency. A pitch that landed well might still have moments where you rambled. That's a refinement point. A client win might have been followed by a messy onboarding that cost you extra hours. That's a refinement point. Even personal habits like your morning routine are up for review. Maybe they worked, but maybe they can work better. Next comes bottleneck mapping. Refinement is born in friction, the little stutters in execution that slow you down. You hunt them with precision. Where did you wait for someone's approval instead of having it pre-cleared? Where did you get stuck because you didn't have the right resource ready? Where did you make a decision too slowly because you didn't have criteria written down? Each bottleneck becomes its own mini project for the month. The third move is systemizing success. July's bold actions likely had moments of improvisation. You made decisions on the fly, guessed your way through certain steps, maybe even got lucky. That's fine for one-time wins. But you don't want to depend on luck twice. So now you build repeatable systems. You write down exactly what you did, in the exact order you did it. You create checklists, so nothing gets skipped, templates, so the next version starts faster, scripts, so your brain doesn't waste energy reinventing language. And here's the thing. Systems are not cages. They are launch pads. They free your mental bandwidth so you can put creativity where it matters instead of on repetitive details. Refinement also demands subtraction. Growth tends to accumulate clutter, extra commitments, extra tools, extra conversations that don't move the mission forward. You run an audit this month. Every tool, every app, every meeting, every recurring task gets one of three labels: keep, cut, or condense. Keep what clearly moves the needle. Cut what's just noise. Condense what's necessary but bloated. If a task takes an hour, you ask, how can I make this 30 minutes without losing quality? That question alone can buy back entire days over time. And then comes the craft itself. Every bold move rests on a set of skills, and every skill has leverage points. The amateur practices the whole skill in a general way. The pro isolates the leverage point and drills it until it's automatic. If you speak, maybe your pacing is the leverage point. If you write, maybe it's your editing precision. If you sell, maybe it's your discovery questions. You pick one leverage point for the month and design deliberate practice around it. 10 minutes a day, targeted, focused, tracked. This is how you go from good enough to impossible to ignore. Midway through August, you'll notice your rhythm change. July was like hopping stone to stone across a river. You had to focus on each leap. August feels like smoothing the stones into a path. Less wobble, more glide. You're not hesitating as much because you've removed friction before it can trip you. But refinement isn't just about mechanics. It's also about boundaries. Bold action often brings an influx of attention, and attention brings opportunities. Some are gold, many are glitter. August is where you draw sharper lines around what you say yes to. You create a filter. Does this align with my hill? Does this scale my impact or scatter my focus? If it's not a strong yes on both counts, it's a no, or at least a not now. You move from opportunistic to strategic because strategy is what turns a burst of progress into a sustained climb. Another layer of refinement is cadence. You build predictable rhythms for repeated actions so you don't have to decide when to do them. They just happen. If content creation fuels your mission, maybe Mondays are for drafting, Tuesdays for editing, Wednesdays for publishing. If networking moves your hill, maybe Thursdays are your reach-out days. Predictability isn't boring. It's freeing. By week 3, your environment reflects your refinement. Your workspace is stripped of distractions, your tools are optimized, your routines fit like well-tailored clothes. You start to feel lighter, not because you're doing less, but because every action is aligned, intentional, and necessary. This is where a lot of people stop, but you won't. The final piece of August's refinement is feedback integration. You actively seek out critiques from people who can see what you can't. You give them permission to point out inefficiencies, missed opportunities, or weak spots. You listen without defending. You thank them. You adjust. Refinement is humility in action. By the end of August, something has shifted in you. You've proven to yourself that you can take bold action, and now you've proven you can make it cleaner, faster, stronger. You understand that refinement isn't about doing more, it's about doing the right things better. And here's the deeper truth you'll carry forward. Boldness without refinement burns out fast. Refinement without boldness never leaves the driveway. But together, that's momentum you can trust. That's a machine that can run all year. September will ask you to take this precision and turn it into relentless discipline. Because the only thing more powerful than a clean system is a clean system you execute every single day. Chapter the 9th of September. September is the month where the pretenders fade and the producers rise. The air feels different, not just because the season is shifting, but because the world is quietly making a decision it doesn't say out loud. To coast until the year ends, or to push when everyone else is pulling back. Most choose comfort. Most slip into good enough mode, letting the next 4 months dissolve into distraction and delay. But you're here because you refuse to hand over a third of your year to autopilot. September is Discipline Month. Not the Instagram version with sunrise selfies and motivational quotes, but the gritty, unglamorous version that lives in early mornings when your bed is warm, in evenings when you're drained, and in moments when no one is watching. The kind that doesn't need applause because it's built for performance, not for display. Discipline is the great separator. It's the reason two people with the same resources can produce wildly different results. It's not about talent, it's about execution. And execution lives or dies in your ability to keep promises to yourself when it's hardest to do so. You begin September by carving out your non-negotiables. Not 10. Not a fantasy list that assumes you'll have perfect days and endless energy. 3. Just 3 daily actions that, if done consistently, will keep your hill climb alive regardless of mood, weather, or chaos. Maybe it's 90 minutes of deep work. Maybe it's 30 minutes of movement. Maybe it's one intentional connection. The point isn't variety, it's consistency. You choose them, you write them down, you block time for them, and you treat them like meetings with your future self. You wouldn't skip a meeting with your boss without notice. Why give yourself less respect than you give someone else? Next, you train the art of a hard start. Most people waste their prime hours easing into the day, scrolling, snacking, checking just one more thing before starting. They trick themselves into believing they're warming up, but really, they're draining energy before they even get to the work. This month, you stop negotiating with the clock. When the block begins, you begin. Not after coffee, not after inspiration, not after one more pass through your messages. Start means start. September also forces you to divorce discipline from perfect conditions. You stop waiting for silence, for energy, for the mood to hit. You work in noise. You move when you're tired. You execute in chaos. You learn to shrink the task until it fits the space you have. If you can't run 5 miles, you walk 1. If you can't write a chapter, you write a paragraph. You learn to adapt instead of abandon. Because here's the truth. If you only act when it's easy, you'll never build the muscle for when it's hard. And it will get hard. Resistance doesn't take vacations, it evolves. In September, it shows up in disguise. It tells you you're refining your process when you're really avoiding the reps. It whispers that you've earned a break, when what you've really earned is the right to keep going. You fight this by separating refinement from execution. Refinement happens after you've done the work, not instead of doing the work. This is also the month to protect your streaks. You make your habits visible, X's on a wall calendar, coins in a jar, check marks in a notebook. And you follow the simplest, most powerful rule in habit history. Never miss twice. Missing once is life. Missing twice is a choice, and you refuse to choose against yourself. Halfway through September, the novelty wears off. The high from July's bold moves and August's precision is gone. The results of your work might be trickling in, but they're not arriving with fireworks. This is where most people slip. They confuse lack of excitement with lack of progress. You won't make that mistake. You understand that discipline is built in the boring. This month, you double down on process over passion. You trust your system more than your mood. Your calendar becomes your contract. If it says 90 minutes of work, you do 90 minutes of work. Whether the words flow or fight you, whether the weights feel light or heavy. Because the work you do on low motivation days is the work that teaches your brain that showing up is not optional. And here's the gift September gives you. Discipline compounds faster than you expect. At first, it feels like dragging a cart uphill. Every step is a conscious decision. But then something shifts. The decisions start to feel automatic. The habits run with less push. You've gone from willing yourself into action to being pulled by the gravity of your own consistency. Of course, discipline doesn't mean rigidity. You still adapt when life throws you a curveball, but you adapt by doing something, not nothing. You miss the gym? You do 10 minutes at home. You miss your writing block? You write 1 paragraph before bed. You refuse to give the day away completely. By week 3, you start to notice the subtle confidence that only comes from keeping your own word. You stop asking, "Will I follow through?" Because the answer is obvious. You already have. And that confidence leaks into everything. You walk differently, negotiate differently, decide differently. This is also when you make discipline harder to break. You stack your habits so one triggers the next. You set your environment the night before so the start is frictionless. You give someone permission to call you out if you miss. You make the cost of quitting greater than the comfort of avoiding. The last week of September is about locking it in. You look at your 3 non-negotiables and ask, can I carry these into the next 90 days without fail? If the answer is yes, you've succeeded. If the answer is no, you simplify until it's yes. Because the whole point of this month isn't to build a heroic sprint. It's to build a pace you can sustain when the year gets noisy, stressful, and tempting you to quit. By the time September ends, you've done something most people will never experience. You've built the muscle to show up whether or not you feel like it. You've trained yourself to work without the need for fireworks. You've proven that discipline isn't about motivation, it's about self-respect. And when you walk into October, you'll bring with you the single greatest advantage in the game: reliability. Because when you're disciplined, every other strength you have, your skill, your boldness, your refinement, can actually be used to its full capacity. October will ask you to take that reliability and scale your results beyond what you thought possible, and you'll be ready. Chapter the 10th of October. October is the month of amplification. You've built clarity, momentum, focus, growth, resilience, energy, boldness, refinement, and discipline. The foundation is unshakable. The systems are running. The habits are embedded. Now it's time to turn the dial up, not for the sake of busyness, but to deliberately multiply your results. Amplification is about output, but it's not about chaos. It's about taking the work you've already proven works and scaling it, making it reach farther, hit harder, and matter more. This month, you stop thinking in terms of what I can do and start thinking in terms of what my work can do when it's pushed into the world with full force. The first step in amplification is identifying the high-leverage actions you've been doing all year. Not everything deserves scaling. You look back at your past 9 months and ask, what moves gave me the most return on time, energy, and focus? Maybe it was deep client work, maybe it was publishing content, maybe it was networking with intention. You find the 20% of your actions that produced 80% of your progress, and you make those the centerpiece of your month. Then you look for ways to expand their reach. If your work is a message, where else can it be heard? If it's a product, where else can it be seen? If it's a service, who else can it serve? You shift from thinking of your output as a single line to thinking of it as a ripple, one action touching multiple points. October is also about resource multiplication. You've been running largely on your own steam up to this point, but amplification requires more than personal effort. It requires leverage. This could mean automation, delegation, or collaboration. You ask, what am I doing manually that could be automated? What am I doing that someone else could do at 80% of my ability, freeing me to focus on the 20% only I can do? Who could I partner with to reach people I can't reach alone? With amplification comes the risk of overwhelm. It's easy to mistake more for better. So, you set guardrails. Every new action must either increase quality, or increase reach. Never just add noise. Midway through October, you'll feel the pace rise. Your calendar will be fuller. Your output will be more visible. Opportunities will appear faster than before. This is where you rely on the discipline of September, not to slow you down, but to keep you steady inside the surge. You execute with the same non-negotiables, the same hard starts, the same streak protection. Only now the work you're doing is landing in more places with more impact. October also challenges you to raise your personal ceiling. You've been operating at a strong level, but there's another gear. You find it by deliberately stretching your targets. If you usually reach out to 5 potential clients, you reach out to 10. If you normally publish once a week, you try twice. If you close a project in 30 days, you aim for 20. The point isn't recklessness, it's finding out how much more is possible without sacrificing quality. The month closes with a harvest review. Amplification isn't just about producing more. It's about knowing which amplified actions gave the biggest lift. You take note of which expanded efforts gave strong returns and which didn't scale as well as expected. This knowledge sets you up to finish the year with precision and force. By the time you leave October, you'll have proven something vital. You're not just capable of sustained effort. You're capable of scaling it without losing control. November will use this amplified momentum, but point it inward, turning toward gratitude, perspective, and vision for what's next. Chapter the 11th of November. November is the month of perspective. The push of October's amplification has stretched your capacity and expanded your reach. You've proven you can scale, but scaling without grounding can leave you feeling like you're running on momentum without meaning. November is where you pause, not to slow down, but to look up. It's about gratitude, reflection, and vision. Gratitude isn't a soft skill, it's a performance skill. A mind trained to notice wins, relationships, and resources works with more resilience and less burnout. This month you build a habit of documenting them. Each morning or evening, you write 3 things you're grateful for. Not vague platitudes, but specifics. The conversation with a mentor that shifted your thinking. The client who referred you without being asked. The small act of courage you took even when no one noticed. These moments anchor you in reality and protect you from the illusion that progress is only in the big wins. Reflection is the second pillar. You look back on the year so far with honest eyes. What worked? What wobbled? What did you think would matter that didn't? What mattered more than you expected? You're not here to rewrite the past. You're here to mine it for the gold you can carry forward. Then comes vision. Gratitude roots you in what's real, reflection shows you what's proven, and vision stretches you into what's next. November is where you start mapping the next hill, not in detail, but in direction. You ask yourself, if I could make the next year undeniable, what would that look like? What's the thing I'd regret not starting now? November is also about relationships. You strengthen the ones that carried you this far. You reconnect with people you lost touch with during the grind. You give without agenda, sharing opportunities, making introductions, offering help where you can. Relationships built on genuine value always outlast transactions. By the end of the month, you're not just prepared to close the year strong. You're prepared to start the next one with clarity, purpose, and the fuel of gratitude. December will be your victory lap, but November ensures you're running it with both feet on solid ground. Chapter the 12th of December. December is the month of completion, the final chapter in this year's climb. The point where the world splits in two. Those who treat December like a permission slip to drift, and those who treat it like the last stretch of a race worth winning. You've spent 11 months building clarity, momentum, focus, growth, resilience, energy, boldness, refinement, discipline, and amplification. You've anchored yourself in perspective. You're not here to limp to the finish. You're here to cross it standing tall, breathing steady, ready to start the next ascent the moment the clock resets. December has 2 purposes. Finish what matters and set the stage for what's next. Finishing what matters begins with the hill check. You go back to January not to beat yourself up over what didn't happen, but to measure the distance you covered. You rid the hill you wrote down in the first month. You look at the 3 keystone habits you committed to. And you ask, did I climb? Maybe you didn't summit exactly as you pictured, but did you become the kind of person who climbs no matter the weather? Did you build the identity you set out to build? This isn't about perfection, it's about proof. Next, you close loops. Every unfinished project is a mental tab that steals bandwidth. You either finish it now or make a clear decision about its fate. If it's a priority, you schedule the exact time to complete it before the year ends. If it's not, you move it to a not now list or cut it completely. Nothing is allowed to sit in the fog of maybe later. You want a clean transition into January, not a bag of loose ends weighing you down. December is also for tightening relationships. You take time to thank the people who helped you this year: mentors, teammates, friends, family. Not with a generic holiday message, but with something specific. This is how you impacted my year. Gratitude spoken out loud strengthens the bond for the climbs to come. You also evaluate the relationships that drain you. You decide whether to set firmer boundaries or release them entirely. This isn't about coldness, it's about entering the next year surrounded by energy that fuels you, not bleeds you. Then comes the audit. You take inventory of your systems, habits, and tools. Which ones served you all year? Which ones slowed you down? Which ones started strong but faded in impact? December is when you prune the unnecessary so you don't carry dead weight into January. That new app you swore would change your life but you haven't opened in months. Gone. That habit that sounded great but never really moved the needle? Replaced. Once the cleanup is done, you create space. This is the part most people skip. They cram December full of one last push until they arrive in January already burnt out. You're smarter than that. You know that recovery isn't retreat, it's preparation. So you build intentional recovery into the month. Maybe that's 3 days of total disconnection. Maybe it's a week of lighter work where you focus only on your most important habit. Rest is a strategy here, not a reward. And while you're creating space, you set the stage for next year. You don't wait for January to figure it out. You start sketching the hill you'll climb next. You write down what a successful first quarter would look like. You list the non-negotiable habits you'll carry forward and the new ones you'll install. You decide the first bold action you'll take in January, so you enter the year already in motion. Momentum loves a running start. December will test your ability to finish without fizzling. The holiday noise, the travel, the parties, these are not enemies, but they are distractions. You protect your time by knowing which days are for celebration and which days are for completion. You schedule your work around your life instead of letting your life erase your work. This is discipline with flexibility, a skill that will serve you every year to come. By the third week, you'll feel the shift. The world around you is slowing down. People are saying, "I'll get to it next year." That's when you realize the power of this month. While others are pressing pause, you're stacking quiet wins. You're finishing projects, reinforcing habits, and setting up systems in the silence. This creates the gap, the invisible distance between you and the people who stopped at mile 11 of a 12-mile race. And here's the truth about December. It's not just the end. It's a handoff. The version of you who started in January is passing the baton to the version of you who will run next year's race. You want that handoff to be clean. No tangled commitments, no heavy regrets, no chaos spilling into the fresh start. You want to step into the new year with clarity, confidence, and a record of kept promises. So when the last days of December arrive, you take one final moment of reflection. You look back at the year, not with judgment, but with ownership. You name the wins out loud. You name the lessons without shame. You see the climb in its full truth, the hard days you thought would break you, the bold steps that changed you, the quiet repetitions that built you. And you realize something powerful. This year wasn't just about goals, it was about becoming. The clock will turn, the year will change, but the work you've done, the identity you've built, comes with you. And when you stand at the starting line of January, you'll be one of the few who isn't just starting fresh. You'll be continuing the climb, stronger than you've ever been. Because December didn't drain you. It prepared you. And that's how you finish a year like this. Not in exhaustion, but in readiness. Final conclusion. You started this year at the base of your hill, unsure, maybe tired, maybe carrying the weight of too many half-finished climbs. And step by step, month by month, you built something most people never touch. You built trust with yourself. You built the muscle to start without waiting for perfect conditions. You learned to rise from setbacks, refine your craft, protect your energy, act boldly, and execute with relentless discipline. You didn't just cross a finish line, you rewired the way you climb. The truth is, this blueprint isn't about 1 year. It's about the kind of person you've become by living it. A person who doesn't wait for motivation, who doesn't bargain with fear, who moves forward no matter the season. You've proven that transformation isn't magic. It's the daily choice to keep showing up. Now the next hill is waiting. Bigger, maybe steeper, but you've already proven you can handle the climb. Carry your clarity, your systems, your courage into it. Let every step be a promise you keep, not just to your goals, but to yourself. Because you are no longer the person who hopes for change. You are the person who creates it, 1 month, 1 step, 1 victory at a time.